Where do women leaders go for real, unfiltered conversations regarding issues we don't often talk about openly? This is the place and the space. Welcome to Still I Rise, where we not only talk about it, we say the quiet part out loud. And remember to chime in on topics you'd like to have us discuss. Join us for Still I Rise. We are rising and rising and rising. And Dr. Gunning's here. I hope that she has her curse star.
For those I don't have it. I got a dish.
So for those
I
of
don't
you
even have any money.
The disclaimer is that she loves those words, those four-letter words, and she uses them so eloquently, if that's even possible. But every time she uses them, she contributes to a nonprofit. So we're getting quite a bit of cash here to contribute to some nonprofit. And me, the little angel with the halo around her.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Thank
Half
you for
of our
watching.
listeners know that was the first lie you told.
No. That's not a lie. Lori could attest to that. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to Still I Rise, where we say the quiet part out loud, everything that impacts women and women in the workplace. And today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurships, and the title of our podcast today is "I Can Do Good or Bad
by my damn self." Let me be very clear before you try to clean it up. It's women in business. I can do good or bad by my damn self. And it's true. It's true. You see, Lori's nodding. She's already.
She said it 3 times, so that means 3 contributions to the curse jar. So let's talk about this. And we have with us she's the Entrepreneur of the Year, Small Business Entrepreneur of the Year through the Small Business Association of Michigan. Is that correct, Lori? Is that the right title?
We got that a while back, and then in 2025, we were honored to be a Woman-Owned Business of the Year.
Women-Owned Business of the Year. She's also just a phenomenal individual who has background that you want to hear about. But she's also been involved with the president of Small Business Association of Michigan, or the chair of Small Business Association of Michigan, chair of the board. She serves on the Michigan Chamber of Commerce board as well. All things connected, related to and involving business. But she's a strong advocate for women in business as well. And her life has actually been exemplary in terms of what it takes to be a successful woman entrepreneur. We're so glad to have you, my friend, my running buddy, my everything in terms of consulting and business. So happy to have you with us. She's just the sweetest person in the whole wide world.
Welcome, Lori.
But I shouldn't say sweet for women, but really, what would I say if you were a man? I wouldn't say you're the sweetest man in the whole wide world. I'd say you're just
I'll take sweet. You're
a gentle soul. You're a gentle
person.
Yeah, you're a good person. So let's get down with it. We know for a fact from Forbes that it's something like 455,000 women from January of 2025 to August of 2025 left the workplace. 455,000 women, for whatever reason, they left the workplace, not always voluntarily either, particularly in this economy. We also know that nearly half of all new businesses are started by women. Nearly half of us. We've known you since back in the day when I always tease. I used to intern for Lori when she was at Sparrow. At the time, it was called Sparrow Hospital. But talk to our audience about that first decision, that first moment when you knew I've had enough because I can do good or bad all by my
damn self.
Okay, that when you knew that moment that you knew that. Talk about that moment.
Oh, I knew it. And I would like to take all the credit, but who would become my future business partner and is my best friend. She worked, I was her boss. She walked in my office in a very toxic environment and said, "Hey, why don't we create an agency that's way better than the ones we've ever worked with?" They fly them in from Chicago, New York, and I said, "Hey, I hadn't thought about that really." And we thought about it, and not only thought about it, we worked hard at planning and getting ready to launch. And we took a year. I finished my MBA degree, and I let my employer pay for that. So, some smarts helps a little bit too, but I knew I needed to be equipped to successfully run a business. And it really was that switch, that walk into the office, that, "Hey, why don't we?" And then that was it. That was the countdown to launch.
And so when you said it's a countdown to launch, I mean, you were walking away from a very successful career. The reason that I was there was trying to learn as much as I could about marketing, communications, public relations, external facing activities. And at the time, it was Sparrow that's better than anybody else. They were just everywhere. So you walked away from that. You said, okay, and were you a single mom at the time?
I was, and you have to know, I'm not risk averse. I survived cancer not once but twice in my teens, so I'm like, what do you have to lose? My business partner was risk adverse. She was leaving a 25, 26-year career. And that was her second home. And I think between the two of us, and like again, the due diligence, it wasn't a flippant, you know, flip off at the which I don't. I would curse on you, but I don't do it well. So,
I'll
but
do it for you, Lori. I
in
got
my
you
head,
covered.
I was
I got you covered.
viewing all the men in the hierarchy, and we did it in a very smart and thoughtful way, and we planned. Um, and it actually, our first client said, "When are you going to start this business? We need you." And that first client is still our client 18 years later, which
Wow.
is a testament to the relationships that I think we build. It's not about making money and leaving the lucrative career. I just knew we'd be. I have faith too, and I just knew um, that I was being led to do something different. And there are cancerous, toxic work environments. In no way was I going to sit there and let that cancer grow inside of me without saying, "There's better. We can do better." It was either going to be for somebody else, but again, my business partner, she just said, "Let's do this thing." And having that first client was some comfort, knowing that we weren't going to have to go. We did knock on a lot of doors and call up a lot of old friends, but between our two skill sets, we just those early days, those early years were just amazing. And I feel so blessed that we never had to not pay ourselves. And small business owners, a lot of times to make payroll, you're the last to get fed at the table, right? So um, we just have been so fortunate. And our early days were a lot of healthcare clients because that's what our backgrounds were. And I was a
Right.
journalist before Sparrow. I worked at the State House, of course, before then. But that collection of experience, my experience and my business partners, it just was an equation for success. Plus, the love we had for each other, we were going to hold each other up no matter who tried to kick
Did
us
you have to
out.
get a loan? Did you have to go apply for a loan for your business, or you've never had a loan, have you?
We never had a loan.
So
That's a little
did you put
different.
your own resources into it, Lori?
We did. So it's a service. We're marketing and PR, and so it's a service industry. So our equipment is right here. This is our assets, are the skills that we offer to our clients, and we were we were like I said, God was smiling on us and our business, and even the way we named our business was uncanny. We were going to write down a short list, each one of us, and we didn't want our last names because I've had three last names. Only one of them was mine. Same with my business partner. So we both came in, had one name on that piece of paper each of us brought. And it gives me chills. And we just turned them over. And it was
Yeah.
Wow.
Edge. Because
Uh, yeah.
we were on the edge of something. Was it going to be good? Was it going to be bad?
hmm
We were eyes wide open. We're going to make that jump.
But Lori
It's
said something that I think needs to be sort of highlighted, because one of the things I shared with Paula in when we were discussing this whole topic is that for every woman that has established a business and done what you've done, Lori, there's probably a handful more who have not made that step, who are hesitant, who are fearful, who don't have the knowledge. And so they just sort of self defeat themselves. But you said a few things that I think we need to highlight. And one was you were pretty smart and strategic about this. This was not something you did on an impulse, I believe you said. It was something that was thoughtful and that was planned out. Because Paul and I were talking about this decision women may have. Do you go all in, or do you say, okay, no, I've got to keep my job, while I try to launch this as well. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. Probably either works, but
and after she answers that, I'd like for you to also tell your story, Dr. Gunnings, about your father and starting your
yeah,
business.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
We
So
did not go all in, I'll tell you.
Lori, you want to answer?
Yeah, so I think I am one, the switch had already turned in my head, but I knew what I didn't know what I didn't know. So we had a lot of great people, including Paula, who we went and we talked with, who inspired us, who said, "Hey, did you think about this, or did you talk to this person?" Chris Holman was another one, a very successful business person. And there are men that help us rise too, right? So
Right,
I was
absolutely.
leaving a group of men that were holding us down, but there have been men who just believed in us, believed in our vision, and taught us things that we would not have realized. But I think my career path to that point had I just gathered, and it was so unique, my experiences, a working journalist. Then I made that jump, I did a 7-year thing, a 7-year itch, 7 years in journalism. Then I went to this, I was recruited by the State House representative, by the beloved Representative Frank Fitzgerald, who is now deceased, but I was the editor of the paper in his town. He said, "Hey, we need someone like you." So another person who helped me rise, and spent 7 years at the State House. I would left there as chief of staff to the speaker, which is the highest non-elected position. So I was bumping that ceiling. And then Sparrow, came knocking and said, "Hey, we need someone to start our government relations and help us our marketing." Spent 7 years there, so 777. And along that way, I collected just a unique knowledge base. And again, the older I get, the more I know I don't know. But at the time, it serves my clients well, because you can't just say, "Hey, I want to market," but we're sitting in the shadow of the state capitol. I also need to know how to write testimony. And so anyway, uh, you can make that leap with blindfolds on. I like to make the leap, but have some things in place to help. You never guarantee success, but to help me have the chance of success.
Right. That's
Yeah, and
interesting.
everybody's mindset is different, right? I mean, just like you said,
Yep.
depending on how much risk you want to take. I used to always, I've been married, right? And I've been married for a long time, and I used to always, I eat beans before I let someone disrespect me in the workplace. But I had a cushion. I had a husband. But for women who are single parents, children, their livelihood is dependent upon that one income. It's a little bit harder. So having more of a strategy makes sense.
Yes.
Dr. Gunnings, Sonia, her father, who is my just someone I love dearly. I think we sort of channel each other. He had a whole different plan, right?
Lori, the reason I think I asked the question is I didn't start our family business. I was 16 when my parents started our family business, and my father had literally bought some property and built a building. It was an outpatient mental health and substance abuse treatment building. And at that time, it, kind of like a cool, modern kind of building. And I remember him taking me through it and saying, this is what we're all going to, I was the first secretary for the business. Of course, I wasn't getting paid, but I remember him walking me through the building and me saying, "Dad, this is really cool." And he said, "You like it?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, keep walking around, look at all the offices, decide which one you like the best." And then he looked me in the face and he said, "Because if this doesn't work, one of them is going to be your bedroom." In essence, he was saying, we can't financially sustain two homes here. I didn't comprehend it at the time, but I remember thinking, like, my God, is this, is he serious? Yes, he was dead serious. If this did not fly, some choices and some hard decisions were going to have to be made. And so that's why I asked the question about, going all in. And I love you talking about how risk averse you really are when you make these decisions. But knowing what your personal tipping point was, Lori, I heard that you felt compelled in a way, but you had a good close friend, and you and she were sort of at that point together. at the same time. And
And I
that's a
think you do need a cushion. I mean, you need something. I mean, you can
yeah,
have, the unmitigated faith, and I have probably more faith than most
yeah,
people that you meet. But there's still the reality of the world is I got
right.
to put food on the table. I've got
Yep.
to pay some bills.
Yep.
I've got to let go of the trapeze and
Yep.
grab onto the other trapeze. I've got to
Right.
have that moment in time where I'm willing to let go. And so, what advice would you give to women who are struggling between, the two different
Mhm.
options they have? Because there are options out there. More women have started businesses in 2025 than any other year. More women-owned business. The
Mhm.
landscape is changing for women, and that needs to be considered. As women talk about rising and still I rise, that you're not always dependent on someone else's paycheck. Someone told me once, Paul, either you're working your own plan or you're working a plan for someone else. And I want to
Yeah.
work my own plan. So what advice would you give?
Well, in my mind, and my business partner, and like I said, I can always go back and work for someone else. I believed in myself enough,
Yeah.
and gosh knows, I had a daughter who was looking, and she was young, and I was a single mom, and she looked up to me, and she believed in me at the young age of 5 years old or 6, and I just believed in myself, and I believed in the power of what my business partner and I brought to the table. And I really didn't have any, I didn't think, oh, I didn't wring my hands, I'm leaving a steady paycheck. I rose my hands and said, I'm leaving a toxic environment
Mhm.
and I'm saving myself. And
Mhm.
that really propelled
That's a
me.
motivator. Yeah, that's a motivator.
When you say believe in yourself, oh man, I can't tell you how much that needs to be heard and repeated because one of the things I wanted to get you and Paula to give some reflection on, because you are both perceived as such successful businesswomen. But I also want to highlight the fact that women take these risks and are not always successful.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth us saying to them what you two I think could bring more light to than I could. And that is, what are some of the messaging when women do venture out, do step out, and feel like it has not succeeded for
Mhm.
them? Should they say, I got to go back and give up? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? The
Well,
both of you, I'm
yeah,
asking.
I'll jump right in because I've had some failures in this journey
Mhm.
of business ownership, and they were costly. One especially comes to mind, and I beat myself up. I just like, how could I have not seen this? How could I had all the professional, the experts, the legal and the financial experts, all this is going to work out. This is going to be great, and it didn't work out, and it cost my business, it cost my team of people that share their skills with me. It
Mhm.
was it was a painful year, but you know what, I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I know that lesson because so many people wanted to come alongside of us, and not all of them are the right fit. And
Mm,
so
mm,
I learned from that lesson, as painful as it was. And then someone said, it was very simple, they said, Lori, that wasn't a failure, that was a learning experience that made you who you are now,
mhm.
or
Was a
help you be a
lesson.
better business
Mhm.
person. And so failures, I don't even, those words don't even come to mind. Yeah, I tried it, it didn't work out.
Mhm.
Um, and you learn from it, and then maybe you go back out and you take
Mhm.
those lessons
Mhm.
and either keep pursuing your dreams or kind of regroup. It's like a team after they lose, you
Gotcha.
know?
But keep
You know,
believing in yourself.
Jim
Paula, what are
Herbert,
you thinking?
Jim Herbert, who was the CEO of Neogen, which is a multinational company, billion-dollar company, said something. He was one of my mentors, and he said he talked about having to borrow money to make payroll,
Mm,
and how he at night, and he rang the bell in New York Stock Exchange. It's a it is Neogen is still a multi-billion-dollar company all over the world. So everyone's going to have those moments, whether you
right.
were a multi-billion or whatever. I bought a building and then lost a contract after I bought the building.
Mhm.
I wanted to lease. I wanted to own the building. You don't lease
Right.
buildings, you own buildings,
Right.
and this took our life savings and threw it into that building. And
Right.
just like you, Lori, someone said to me, and I was like, just the kids, the students, I was just mortified And they said to me, but you've helped somebody,
Mm, mm,
somebody. And
mm.
so, just kind of flip the script a little bit and not what you lost, those that you did help along the journey, along the way. But I go back to, I mean, you were fortunate. You didn't have to get a loan. You didn't have to write a business plan other than your own. You didn't have to worry about paying that loan back plus paying a mortgage. So
Mhm.
the strategy of what we do, I always advise them, don't just jump in without a plan. I
Yeah,
mean, because, I believe in me. Yeah, I do believe in me. I
yeah,
know I can get a job. I
yeah.
drop the mic, hang up, I can get a job. All right. But what it will do to me versus what it might do to someone else if they have a failure
Right, right,
emotionally,
right.
financially. Um, but yet you got to try, you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, you got to try.
So
So
there's
I
some
feel like
resources.
I feel like I'm
There's some,
asking all the questions for other women out there. So hold on.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm listening to you too, and I'm motivated because I've got some things, not personally, but I'm speaking here on behalf of others. I've got some things brewing
Mhm.
that are, weighing on my head and my heart. I want to get going. Paula Cunningham and Lori Jandron, where do I start? Where do I start to even begin to know what I should be doing or how to do this?
Resources. But Laura, you want to start because you've been involved with all those.
And so I'm a writer by trade. I got to write it down. I got so much going on in here. I've written 5 books. I've, cured cancer. I've done everything in my head.
Mhm.
You've got to put pencil, paper, computer, you know, you've got to write down because to me that makes making it real. And then you start looking at each of those aspects and go, where do I need to learn more? Where do I need someone else? And I'll tell you, I had the hardest time asking for help up until probably
Mhm.
about 10 years ago because I thought it was a sign of weakness to ask.
Mhm.
Now it's so, oh my gosh, how dumb of me not for the last 60 years to ask for help. It is very uplifting and it makes other people feel like they matter too in your life. So
Mhm.
anyway, I say write it down, start looking at it, examine it. And again, it's part of the plan. And there's a saying, and I can't say I made it up, but if you fail to plan, plan to fail.
Right.
Because I don't think there are those few lucky, I have an idea and it goes off and you make
And
millions.
just right,
Yeah.
right.
First thing I would say if you have a plan is to forget about it. Just try
Mm.
to try your best to forget about it. Try to walk away from it. And if you can't, then you know that you need to continue. I mean, because I get ideas all the
I
time, but
like that. I like
a week later, I can't remember the idea I had 2 weeks ago. so, so, so try to walk away from it when it gnaws at you and stays at you, and then you start, seeing things coming together.
I
Then
like
that's
that.
when I pull together my board of directors. That's what I call them, my
Mhm.
personal board of directors. I'll get an Olga Holden, a financial person. I'll get someone. I say, here's what I'm thinking, and they go, oh
Mhm.
girl, you crazy. Oh girl, or
Mhm.
this could work.
Mhm.
When we started our school, we were at Carrabba's having dinner, and I'm going to start a school. And those around me said, okay, let's figure this out. I mean,
Right.
so you want that kind of board that'll push you back and forth, and then begin, like Lori said, write things down. Like, what does it mean?
Mhm.
What does it mean there? Who do I need? And then I go back to that board and say, okay, here's what I've thought about. There's people that you trust, and go back and say
Mhm.
about, here's what it's looking like, what else? And then that business plan gets developed, and then you start, you're going from there. But when it stays with you, when you can't let it go no matter what,
Yeah. I
then
like that. I
that's time
like that.
you
Then it
go.
might be the way you talk about it, Paul. It sounds like then it's a passion.
Right, right. But you got
Then
to have a
it.
passion and some money and a purpose.
There
Right?
you
You got to,
go. There you go.
because I have a lot of passions, but I'm not putting a lot of money behind all of them. So,
So
yeah,
it's like one of the resources, the Small Business Association also, I
yes.
mean, getting
Small
online and
Yeah, Small Business Development and Technology Center through the Chamber of Commerce. They will look at your business plan. They have a whole
okay.
team.
Oh, really? They'll look at your plan for you.
Yes, they'll look at your plan. They'll give you some advice. They'll talk you through all of that. SBDTC, Small Business Development Technology Center, and it's free for them to do that. You
Oh,
can go
wow.
talk to a bank. When at Capital National Bank is a small business bank, and you can just talk with them about what would it take to get a loan, what would it take to buy this equipment, what would it take to get whatever you might need. Just kind of even before you do it. Relationships. Lori, you got more advice in terms of
I
chamber?
didn't know that. I didn't know those
Yeah, so
resources were out there.
yeah, 18 years ago when we started the business, well, it'd been 19 because we took a year to plan. Lansing Community College had a
Ah,
wonderful program. They gave us all the templates You just plugged in, plugged in, plugged in. Then we went out to, well, I think it was Cooley, and they had student lawyers who would help you file your, paperwork with the state.
Wow.
And all of it
Okay.
cost maybe $200 all
I'll
said,
be darned.
and our time.
Yeah.
We took
But
a lot of our personal time, and I don't want people to think that just because we didn't get a loan, there was a horrible holiday where we had to take our own savings and to make payroll. And that's when we
mhm.
learned painful lessons about cash flow and late pay. So it's like all these things. There were some very hard times. And when I look, I have a daughter who now works at the company, and I say to her, some of the I don't want to shortchange the stress that comes with owning a business and having other people's livelihood depend on you.
It's tremendous
That's a real
responsibility.
responsibility.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely. And you get it's you wouldn't change it, right? You wouldn't do anything different.
No, not at all.
It is
And
also
she
It's
painful
says
been
when
with
a,
a
you
it's
grin
been
on
a
her
great
face.
ride.
it's
But
also
look at
painful when you get fired. It's also
Yeah.
painful when you're not sure
Yes.
you're going to be able to keep your job, when you're downsized, when you're one of 300,000 women who had left the
Mhm.
federal government because of, they got rid
Yeah.
of your job after 30 or
Mhm.
40 years. So that's also painful. So that's why we were calling
Yes.
this podcast. What's the title, Dr. Gunnings?
I can do good or bad by my damn self. And
Lori, thank
Paula, Lori gave us the best takeaway from this, and we're going to reiterate it, Lori. Believe in yourself.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Believe in
Absolutely.
yourself, and then literally bet on yourself, but believe in yourself.
right. Believe in yourself and plan, because see, a lot of folks,
Absolutely.
con artists believe they can sell you some snow if you living
Some
in
of them
Alaska.
can, unfortunately.
But yeah, but do your homework as
Do your
well.
due
But don't be afraid
diligence.
to let go of those swinging trapezes and take that quantum leap
Yeah,
into,
yeah,
because again, you never know. Like Disney failed
yeah.
7 times before they created Disneyland. So they went bankrupt 7 times before
I
they.
didn't know that either. I'll be
Yeah, so
darned.
there, yeah, I don't believe in failure. I believe in wins and learnings, not wins and
There you
losses.
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Wins and learnings.
Excellent.
So,
Wins and
and you
learning.
are a perfect example, Lori Richard Janderin, of a learning and someone who's won. And we just lift you up to all the women out there to say, go for it. Believe in
Thank
yourself.
you, Lori. You're
Yeah. So
phenomenal.
it's
Do.
been my pleasure, and do believe in yourself and go for it.
Yep,
Life is good.
yep,
Absolutely. And
yep.
so don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You only got a little bit of money from Dr. Gunnings today. She didn't swear that much. I guess I'm having a time tonight.
I did
Like, share,
good.
subscribe to this podcast, and let us know what you want us to talk about, because this is where we say the quiet part out loud and we talk about
Out
all things
loud
impacting women.
so that
Hey,
you can
still I
rise.
rise, still I
So you
rise. Thank
rise.
you.